on your program, because every time I start talking, some Israel first son of a bitch comes in and starts talking over me. Hey, you made
America
all your
first,
Israeli
right
talking
there,
points
American
already.
flag, bro.
Be
There's
quiet.
Israel right
Oh,
there.
yeah, my ass.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cenk,
see, here it goes again.
Cenk,
so
for
then
50
here's
minutes,
the other line.
Cenk, for 50 minutes,
can I
you've managed to
talk?
stay relatively calm. Don't blow it now.
Yeah, okay, but that's what Israel First does. They just jabber, jabber, jabber. Anyway, so here we go. So then Ben said, and all the Israel First clowns said, oh, we're doing this for the Iranian protesters. And once we start bombing them and murdering them, they're going to love us. And now he's saying, well, of course the protesters can't come out in the streets. We're bombing them. We're bombing them.
Pretty impressive.
That's what we said. All right.
Yeah,
all right, here we go. Will you shut the
We are reporting the news accurately, guys. Alert the presses. Well, we are the presses.
Making one of its conditions for ending its war with the United States an end to this conflict here. So much uncertainty, so much at stake.
It looks to me like this is increasingly a massive quagmire from which it's very difficult to see how Donald Trump pulls one of his usual extrication operations where he claims victory and moves on and everyone kind of pretends it didn't happen.
What's a quagmire? Why is the quality so bad?
Too big a deal for him to be able to do that, I think.
Yeah. So I have a solution to this, but first let me wade through all the lies that have been said. So if you notice, before the war, people like Ben Ferguson were saying, oh, we're not necessarily going to attack. Donald Trump's a peace president. He's not going to attack. He's not going to put in ground troops.
That's not what I said ever.
Yeah.
I never said it. Go find a video. Go look at YouTube. Listen to any one of my shows. I never said that. So not one damn time.
This is why I shout.
Wait, so you're saying you never said Donald Trump was a peace president? So you were critical of Donald Trump saying he's a peace president? Because, like, if you're pro-Trump and Trump said he's a peace president, then it makes perfect sense to claim that you're also saying it. Oh, I never said Trump's a peace president. He's a war president. Bitch, if you're pro-Trump, then yeah, you were saying Trump is a peace president. That's it.
On your program, because every time I start talking, some Israel first son of a bitch comes in and starts talking over me. Hey, you made all your Israeli talking points already.
Flag, bro.
Be quiet. Oh, yeah, my ass.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cenk,
see, here it goes again.
Cenk,
so then here's the other line.
Cenk, for 50 minutes, you've managed to stay relatively calm. Don't blow it now.
Yeah, okay, but that's what Israel First does. They just jabber, jabber, jabber. Anyway, so here we go. So then Ben said, and all the Israel First clowns said, oh, we're doing this for the Iranian protesters. And once we start bombing them and murdering them, they're going to love us. And now he's saying, well, of course the protesters can't come out in the streets. We're bombing them. We're bombing them. That's what we said. All right.
Yeah,
all right, here we go. Will you shut the fuck up? Will you shut up?
If you're putting words in my mouth that I never said,
Israeli
I will
talking
never be
points.
Quiet. I'll never be quiet when you put lies into my mouth of things I never said.
I know, that's why we have to shout on this show, because these assholes won't shut the fuck up.
Like,
all right,
okay.
just to be clear,
just
to be clear, I think there are actually less chances of Ben Ferguson shutting the fuck up than there are of the Bob Pope analogy I gave earlier. So why don't we just assume both of you can be equally garrulous? Cenk, finish your point.
No, I haven't interrupted him once. Okay, so look, guys, we're ignoring the 800-pound gorilla in the room. For example, if somebody was to come in here and they were going to listen to this discussion or debate, but we told them ahead of time, hey, these guys are all clean and honest, then they'd listen to it and try to figure out what's happening. If we told them ahead of time, someone gave them $100 million to all say the same thing, we'd go, well, then we're a little bit more skeptical, to say the least. So that is what's happening with our politicians. Israel has given Congress $100 million. They've given Donald Trump $337 million. So this is all a fake conversation.
But these are tiny amounts of money. They spent billions on day one of the war.
You're cutting me off, Piers.
These are tiny amounts of money you're talking about.
You're making up crap.
Tiny amounts of money.
Yeah.
Piers, are you mental?
Do you know how much got spent? Do you know how much got spent on day one of the war?
$337 million that the Adelsons have given to Donald Trump because he is corrupt and easily purchasable. The Adelsons are corrupt and Israelis. The Israeli Adelsons gave Jonathan Pollard a trip on their private jet back to Israel and celebrated him like a hero because they love people betraying America for Israel.
But you don't think Cenk?
I mean, that's true. Everything he said is true. I'm worried about his health, man. Jesus Christ. Let's be real. Unc, on this issue, is very good. And this is an issue where he used to scold me all the time, if you remember. So I'm glad.
I can prove it. I can prove it. I can prove it. So tell me if we should put American troops or Israeli troops in. Okay, why are we putting our guys in? Ben Ferguson, that traitor, said that it was no big deal that 13 Americans died. It's a huge deal.
Never said that.
13 Americans died. Why do you send your goddamn Israeli friends into a war? They started it. They started it.
Never said by me. Never said by me.
You know what?
So much shit.
Cenk,
I'm never going to let anyone else on this program talk because the minute I start talking, they start interrupting and go, oh, Israel's the greatest. Israel's the greatest.
Okay.
They bribed all of our politicians.
It
is exceedingly clear. Okay. So stop working for Israel, you corrupt.
I mean, he's right. But these kinds of shows, I mean, I love when he pops off. But on these kinds of shows, you got to like trigger them instead. You know what I mean? That's why when I was like, you're turning red, Vinny, that turned into a clip, right? Or even if you pop off, you got to have like a small pop off. You can't have like a consistent pop off. You know, you let the cortisol spike. I'm with you. I'm just saying.
Sons of bitches. Okay. Work for America. Here's your solution. Here's your solution, and it's super simple. We get the fuck out of there.
Okay.
We have zero interest in there. None, none, none. So let Israel.
And now you know why Trump had to do what he had to do. He's got to deal with people like this.
You put in the ground troops. You put in the ground troops. Ben Ferguson, answer this question. Should we be sending Israeli ground troops or American ground troops?
I think there's no major ground troop movements because the president's made it clear we're not invading the country. If you listen to what he said, you would already know that, not have to ask that question.
If we put in ground troops, now that's another lie he'll come back and say, I always said we were going to put in ground troops.
You know what? Okay, look, I'm going to call an end to this. Cenk,
American or Israeli?
The truth is...
American or Israeli? Which ground troops?
Cenk, calm down. The truth is the American military has sent several thousand Marines into the area. They'll take a few more days to get there. And as we know, when there was a massive build-up before the war started, there must be a high likelihood they may get deployed. Otherwise, why would you send them? And it may be that Trump calculates that to get to, say, the enriched uranium, he may have to use some ground forces. I hope it doesn't come to that. I think it would be a disaster, but we shall see.
So why not Israeli ground forces?
But we shall see. You know, think about
why not Israeli ground forces?
Yeah, and Israeli ground forces.
Why is that not even being discussed in Washington?
It's so funny. Yeah, Trump calculates is a hilarious statement. Trump does not calculate. Trump is not even literate.
Well, you just mentioned
Why are we so subservient to Israel that we don't even have a national discussion about should it be our troops or should it be Israel's troops?
Cenk, you know, sometimes...
Oh, so you're saying send in Americans, right?
But Cenk, sometimes you've got to be...
Guys like Ben Ferguson, and Mark Levin all want to send in Americans to die because they think Israelis are superior to us, and they think the Israeli lives are so important. 82% of Israelis want this war. Only 21% of Americans wanted this war. We don't want this war. The only people who want this war are the Israelis. They should fight their own goddamn war and stop having Americans killed on behalf of stupid, irrelevant, disgusting Israel.
Cenk, for the
Pop off, Unc. He right.
Mom, if we've met our military.
Did you watch the response to this video by Pierce and Cenk? They mention you as well. Cenk should derail by bringing up how Israel's got nuclear weapons. Ironic how this panel views your uncle as delusional. Well, because for stupid people that don't understand what he's saying, their only capabilities, like the only thing that they will respond to is aesthetics, right?
There he goes.
Like they're only seeing the shapes and colors. And from an aesthetic perspective, they see a man, a brown man, yelling at a white man who's laughing. So even if the statements being uttered by Cenk are objectively sane and objectively correct, a lot of dumb people will resort. A lot of dumb people, unfortunately, will only look at the way he carries himself. Look, what a lunatic! Having Cenk on the show is a liability. Like Cenk loves America. Literally has an Israeli flag on his chest talking about America first. Oh, finally, there's one person.
Caroline left.
Ben Shapiro praises Trump for launching the Iran war against the will of the American people. You elect leaders to do the right thing, even when the public isn't necessarily in favor of it. Yeah, I mean, he's Israel first, right? This was your mention.
Allowed to apply that same standard to Israel because you're all anti-Semites. And as Brad Schneider, a congressman, Democrat, did today to my nephew, Hassan Piker, he said, and this is a very common trick that Israel First does. Okay, Hassan said things he claims that are anti-Semitic. That's not at all true, but he says it. He says that's why Abdul El-Said, a Democrat running for office in Michigan, is not allowed to campaign with him, is not allowed to support him. Why do they do that? Isolate Israel's critics and try to pretend that they're toxic and eliminate them from the national conversation so that no one can criticize Israel. This is a game that they've done to average Americans, to people in the media, even more.
You don't like going on Piers? Yeah, because, I mean, I really appreciated the space that he gave to the pro-Palestinian side, even if it was for, like, self-invested reasons. But in the beginning, right after October 7, I was willing to go anywhere and everywhere I can where I could, like, say the truth, right? Any platform that I could go on to say the truth, I would go on. And if you remember, I would go on those shows and I would just, like, slam as many points about what was going on the ground as I possibly could, as fast as I could, right? But after a certain point, it's just blood sports, and it felt like a little insincere. It felt like a spectacle, and I didn't want to do a spectacle over an issue as serious as the genocide in Gaza. Every now and then I would go on it, but a part of the reason why I just didn't want to do it is because I feel the same anger and resentment that Cenk does. It's perfectly valid to feel that way. And I just don't want to fucking have a conversation with a dickhead who is going to just sit there and lie his fucking face off. I'm sure they'll still take you once every blue moon. Oh no, Pierce's team is they're fans. They're HasanAbi heads. They ask me all the time. I think they have stopped as of late because I just, like, said no like a million times over. But there was a point in time when they would ask literally, like, every single day. They'd be like, we're talking about this. Would you like to come on? We're talking about this. Would you like to come on? He put a literal clown who aped your side for clout before you to undermine the entire platform. I don't know what you mean by that, but
vehemently into people in politics so that you eliminate all of Israel's enemies and critics and opponents. And then where's the moral outrage? The moral outrage should be towards this genocide in Gaza where 72,000 people at a bare minimum have been killed. Over 20,000 children at a bare minimum have been killed. But we're not talking about the slaughter of 20,000 children. Instead, we're talking about, should we condemn the people criticizing the genocide? Should we condemn the people criticizing Israel starting 7 wars, dragging us into a war? No, all of this is a defense of not Jewish people, but of Israel. And the reality is, both me and, by the way, wonderful Jewish Americans like Dave Smith, Glenn Greenwald, Ben Cohen, Jeff Cohen, Robert Greenwald, I can go on and on for hours. So many young Jewish Americans are actually doing something wonderful, which is they're fighting for peace, they're being principled, and they're on the right side, and they're standing up for America, and they're us. So I say that all the time, but they actually think that the bigger problem is people like us who are not anti-Semitic. Because it's easy to say, oh, Nick Fuentes, no one should talk to him because he's clearly anti-Semitic, and all the other charges, right? The problem for them is when they can't show that we're anti-Semitic. So then they take our criticism of Israel and they set up all these landmines, propaganda landmines with tropes. So here, I'll give you an example. So blood libel. Now, blood libel is a terrible anti-Semitic trope from the 18th and 19th century, made up about Jewish people drinking the blood of babies. That's crazy talk, right? But when we criticize Israel actually killing 20,000 children, they say, oh, that's blood libel. But wait a minute, that doesn't have anything to do with blood libel. Nobody's talking about drinking the blood of babies or anything like that. Oh, you're using it in a very callous and disgusting and immoral way to shield the government of Israel from criticism and thereby endangering Jewish people, because when you actually go to criticize Israel, they go, no, all Jews stand for genocide. That's not true. That's actually a more anti-Semitic statement. So all of this is propaganda in order to protect Israel.
Okay, let me play it. This is a clip from what Douglas Murray, has been one of your biggest critics, what he said on this show, actually, back in December 2023 about you.
You only really get animated if the Jews are involved. And I can tell that for the following reason. I mean, your surname's Uygur, isn't it? 1 million Uyghur Muslims.
Oh my fucking God, Douglas Murray. See, this is what I mean. I would not be able to hold my, like, I would not be able to remain calm in front of Douglas Murray. I would not be able to hold my composure. I would not be able to remain calm. I would lose my fucking mind. I'd be like, you're literally a Nazi. You wrote numerous articles in defense of nationalism. You said that the previous attempts of of Hitlerian nationalism should not ruin the modern attempts of nationalism in the UK. You're an unbelievably Islamophobic person, and here you have the audacity to fucking bring up Uyghurs like you care about China or you care about Muslims in China. You don't care about Muslims. You don't care about the Chinese. So what the fuck am I, like, how am I supposed to believe that you care about the Muslim Chinese? Get out of here. I've already given you guys the talking point for the Uyghur distinction, right? That's it. If Benjamin Netanyahu tomorrow conducted himself in the same way that, like, the Chinese Uyghur policy, which I consider to be unjustifiable, but you don't. But if Benjamin Netanyahu applied the same policy, the Chinese policy on Uyghurs to the Palestinians, Douglas Murray would be running around talking about how fucking woke Benjamin Netanyahu is. It's unbelievable. And that's also an idiotic conversation anyway, because we're American. We can't stop whatever the Chinese government is trying to do in terms of, like, dealing with separatists or whatever. But we can't stop Israel, because Israel's doing this with our weapons. Israel's doing this with our tax dollars. There is no repression of the Uyghur minority. Where do you get the idea that there is? No, we're talking about, come on, chatter. God, I hate having this conversation over and over again. Like, there was. It's ridiculous to act like that didn't happen, okay? It's just not, it's not happening anymore, but there certainly was. You can go to Xinjiang now. It's not even a thing. Like, it's not a point of contention at all. But that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. These guys are just using it as a talking point regardless. Like, can you imagine the guy trying to justify a genocide? Like bombing. Bombing entire areas where people live. Dropping 8 atomic bombs on, like 8 atom bombs worth of munitions on this tiny fucking sliver of land. And they turn around and they're like, well, what about the Uyghurs in China? It's like, bitch, how many fucking buildings did China blow up in Xinjiang? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's unbelievable. Like, these two things are not even in the same fucking planet, dude. Human rights abuses happened. Is true. But, like, you can't defend what Israel is doing as a way by deflecting off of what Israel is doing to be like, well, what about China? That's the reason why I always say, yeah, well, if you got an issue with that, explain to me this. If Benjamin Netanyahu treated the Palestinians in the same way that Xi Jinping treated the Uyghur Muslims in China, okay, you would turn around and say Benjamin Netanyahu is the wokest motherfucker on the planet. You would demand that he gets a Nobel Peace Prize. This quite literally cuts away at the whataboutism. It forces people to recognize the differences in severity. Okay? I can't believe you're labeling China's known and unknown human rights violations as it happens. Wait, what? Man, shut your bitch ass up. God damn, dude. Again, we here in America will literally concern troll. We here in America love to act as though we are not doing anything, right? That we've never actually engaged in an act of severe human rights violations, and our enemies are always doing them. Our enemies are doing them. It's something that our enemies do. It's unbelievable. Between China as the Chinese state and the United States of America, since the inception, like, let's look at the last 30 years. Who do you think has been more of a violent burden around the world? Who has killed more people around the world? We have privately owned concentration camps for people living and working on U.S. soil. And you're over here, and we have masked thugs that are unaccountable, that are black bagging our neighbors. And you're over here being like, well, what about China? No, you just want you just don't want to think about the morality of our state. Okay? Oh. Rogan had Dave Smith on and it seems to be starting to pivot. Yes, I have it on good authority. Insiders that have told me that Joe Rogan is like a totally off the Israel train already. And that's like causing him to also get off the Trump train too.
The phrase "Make America Great Again." I don't care. Then
But
fine.
if that phrase sucks, here's the thing. Like, first of all, America is great. Make America greater, I'm down. But make America great again, and then it becomes a movement of a bunch of fucking dorks. Because a lot of them are dorks. A lot of them, these really weird, fucking uninteresting, unintelligent people that have got something and they...
Like, if China behaved in the same way that America does, why isn't it fucking militarily invading Taiwan right now? Why didn't China militarily invade Taiwan after October 7? There was plenty of opportunity to do so. America clearly, as we've seen since in the last 26 days, we found out with absolute certainty that America is incapable of holding a proxy. Okay? Incapable. They're incapable of defending their bases. They're not even capable of successfully defending Israel, which is the only country that they care about on the planet, more so than even America at times, against Iran. China is not Iran, okay? We love to assume that like China is this like belligerent, violent country because I think it's a good way to make ourselves feel more comfortable about America's belligerence, okay? No country is perfect. China certainly isn't either, okay? There's plenty of things that I disagree with China. I don't have to literally reveal it every single time I bring up China, just as I don't talk about all the things that I disagree with in America as an American citizen anytime I'm talking about some shit that's positive in the United States of America, right? What you and I can see here, you think China can't fucking observe? You don't think they got satellites? Look, with pinpoint accuracy, looking at how well the Iranian missiles are striking American assets? They see everything. They're aware of everything. What are you saying? Taiwan is full of Chinese people. Why would they do that? The U.S. do the rest of the world to the good people of Taiwan? I don't think you understand. That's my point. Okay? If China behaved like the United States of America in a might is right world, they'd be not only taking Taiwan, they'd be taking the fucking Philippines. Okay? They'd be taking the Philippines. They'd be forcibly invading and annexing South Korea and then forcibly